All right, welcome back, guys, to Distilled. This week, we're going to Scotland. So we're going to be drinking Scotch all week. So we're starting with Johnnie Walker Blue, which is, their flagship Scotch here. You want to talk a little bit about this one, Matt?
Just to start something off, it's probably best to start at the beginning. For me, this is the beginning of my Scotch journey. Good old Johnnie Walker Blue. So, I know that there's connoisseurs and fans who are of whiskey who do not like Johnnie Walker Blue or don't think of it too highly, but we all know that whiskey, and part of the fun of it is the nostalgia and the memories, the things that go along with it, the people you spend it with. And this is the first bottle I ever had. My father-in-law introduced me to it when we were still just dating his daughter in college. This is probably over 20 years ago, and this is the first bottle of whiskey I fell in love with.
Yeah.
Which then you realize I can't afford this, so then I'll drink Johnnie Walker Black or something else.
That's what I started with. I was going to say, I was like down to Johnnie Walker Black.
Across the world, it's probably the most common way of drinking whiskey.
Right.
It would be Johnnie Walker on the rocks.
Right.
It's also a very cultural thing, I think, across Asia and India and America and the UK, among certain generations of people. This is the prestige bottle. So no matter what people, it might not be the most complex, it might not be the best whiskey, but it always has a special place in my heart, and I always will like it and enjoy it and never bitch about it.
Yeah.
Because I think it just, it is what it is, and I like it for what it is, and it just brings back a lot of good memories. And it's a lot of good times with this bottle.
Right.
Should we give it a go?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So I actually don't think they have a technical age statement on what's all in here, but it's supposed to be their rarest and finest. There's some very old stuff in here, young stuff in here. It's a blended Scotch, so it's a combination of blended malts and grain whiskey.
The bottle itself is it follows that same suit though. It's iconic, like you would know that even with no label on there. I'm always a fan when they do through the glass on both sides, and you kind of want to just spin it around. The color inside the blue is the best part to me.
Blue with the amber of the whiskey, that's such a stark contrast. Mm-hmm. They're complementary colors.
I think it's just something to be said about doing something simple and really, really well, right?
Yeah.
That's not a crazy idea. It's just executed really, really well.
Yeah, it kind of has a look like a bottle you might find a shipwreck or like or a beach somewhere, a small beach glass.
Where the bottom of the glass is that thick, it's all that glass down there. And
all right, let's give this a nose.
Sweet, sherry, peat.
Get some nuttiness. Hazelnuts, maybe? Or some kind of nut?
Yeah, there's nuttiness.
Oh, I'm detecting nuttiness.
The nose is actually pretty complex, right?
Yeah.
Is there something about this that would make it so distinguishable that it's a Johnnie? Or even more so a Blue?
The Blue Label to me always has a lot more sherry kind of component to it, and older whiskey component has that older, dustier smell, and it made a little more sherry sweetness. It's a lot, dare I use the bad word, smoother, but it's actually it's quite easy, softer on the palate. Yeah, it's much more complex than the black or the red or the green or the gold. It's meant to be very drinkable. So it is supposed to be smooth, quite honestly. But there's enough there to enjoy.
I just keep getting nuts.
I get a little lemony kind of citrus, a little lemon custard. It's only at 40%, so it's pretty low ABV. It's barely legal Scotch or whiskey. There's still some good legs on it. I don't think this could be from the grain whiskey too. I think the grain is usually from a column still. The rest is pot still. But it's Diageo. They own all these different distilleries, so they have a lot of good stock to draw from.
So the main difference between a pot still and the column still is that the column stills can be run continuously, right?
Yeah, they're continuous. These big giant things. They're pretty common in bourbon and in spirits in general. So you have little different characters. You can get pot still goes funkier and different notes, and then they'll teach their own. Some people like column whiskey a little more, some people like pot a little more.
difference in cost is if you can run it still continuously, right? It's got to be a lot. You can produce
Pot
more.
you have to clean out.
Yeah.
You have to do all these kind of things to it. Yeah. But it does produce probably arguably a lot more unique compounds. Shall we?
That's it. Cheers,
Cheers.
everyone.
First sip of Johnnie Blue, especially, I always get a little bit of that peat, a little bit of smoke. Usually by the second or third sip, it's completely gone. So if you go through sipping this bottle in a session, it changes a lot of it.
Oh, really?
And then I get the vanilla. Yeah, there's a lot more sherry in the nose too.
Is that because you get used to it?
I think so. Your brain kind of acclimates to it.
Right.
Maybe something blows off a little bit. Yeah, I think your brain acclimates to it.
Yeah.
Is my guess. That's what it feels like to me. Definitely get a little of that graininess, a little grain spice and alcohol a little bit.
It smells sweeter to me, but then when I like the taste, doesn't always follow suit with that, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it's all pretty savory actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Mortlock in here, which is known for its savory profile. They can draw from all these different distilleries that have.
It's delicious. It's really, really good.
It does have a pretty good mouthfeel for 40%, honestly. It might be from the grain part too. A little viscosity.
Yeah, I would say it's like silky versus like a really.
Yeah, the silky I like that. With the alcohol content, I'm just curious too because of what we've tried thus far. It's like what like how do you gauge? You know, it's like if you're up north in the 60s, it's going to be like what we had last week, where it's like a kick versus like it seems like the 40s are again, you know, not so much the smooth, but just a little bit more like you can get more of the like other flavors and other scents and other things. So how do you? Like I guess it's just you just kind of pick and choose and you kind of gauge where you want to be.
Yeah, you can play with it. Some people, experts, kind of like argue that you should definitely add water to anything above a certain percentage because it just burns your tongue and your taste buds, and you're not going to taste anything. It's just gonna be alcohol per bullet, and your taste buds are dead at that point. But as you drink more too, you can definitely withstand more gas strain and more proof and enjoy it and not burn out, not burn yourself out for sure.
I'm getting. Yeah, back to the nuts and maybe chocolate a little bit.
Yeah, see the peat, I barely taste now. But it kind of nicely integrates into it.
I still get a lot of the sweet from the smell,
But then not on
but the nut on the taste.
That's from the sherry, probably. The sherry's known for a little nuttiness. Like almonds.
Yeah,
Do you know what kind of cask? Or, I mean, I guess it's going to be a blend.
Yeah,
so.
it's a mixture.
Yeah.
We don't know. But yeah, there's definitely sherry, there's definitely bourbon. Yeah, there's definitely peat in there.
Is there something about blue that people are like? Is that why like it's a cult? Is it more of the name and just the culture around the name itself, or is it like, oh no, the blend of the sherry with the nut or something that makes it so unique?
It's kind of in the Rolex kind of category or Porsche kind of thing. It's a luxury.
Yeah.
It's the known
It's very
luxury
luxurious, yeah.
brand.
Yeah. You could just sip this and
Yeah, it's fine.
just sip it all night.
Although some of the earlier bottles, like the 90s bottles that I've had, were arguably better.
Yeah.
Very consistent. They blend very well. It comes out the same remarkably every time. I got more chocolate on this last time. Milk chocolate.
Leather.
Like a baseball mitt leather. I don't know.
Yeah.
Asking about the price.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean,
So it's availability.
it's actually very available.
Yeah,
You see it everywhere, but the price will vary. I mean, if you get lucky at your local like Costco or something like that, you can probably find it, or some of these random little stores in K-Town. If you're lucky, maybe you can find it for 120, 130-ish range. Typically, a good deal would still be like 150, 155, but most frequently you're probably looking at 200, 250.
And then for a single pour in a bar,
Probably, I don't know, 20 to 40, something like that. I don't know. Yeah. That's the thing. At 200 or any of those prices, is it good value? It's good. But there's a thing, you could argue that you find better that price, of course. But it is what it is.
But for someone who is not exploring the world of whiskey, you know what you're going to get, and you're going to get something that's of high quality, something that's very drinkable.
Yeah.
That we could sit around all night and finish this bottle.
You could bring this to any party from basically anyone from any country in Asia, and you will make fast friends.
You make a lot of friends.
Period. And actually, frankly, for in the U.S., so you bring this thing around, like in New Jersey, where my wife's from, like they always are bringing this around. It's just a good standard, go-to, normal. Everyone's happy. We all drink it. Like it's great.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. And so there's an interesting cultural and kind of prestige kind of element to the thing.
Yeah.
Which is definitely unique.
Right.
And they deserve it. They built it up over the years. And
all right, guys. So Johnnie Walker Blue. What are my final thoughts for this? Very elegant, very silky flavor. You're getting some nuttiness, some chocolate notes, maybe even a little bit of floral elements in there. Really nice. Are you going to be rewarded like a really complex Scotch, like single malt? Probably not, but you're going to have a good time with this one. What do you think?
Yeah, the simple is hard to do, and consistency is even harder. So, I think that's kind of a big win in my eyes, just knowing what I'm going to get every single time, especially with a flavor like that. I mean, I agree with you. Like, it's not super complex, but it was just simple. All of it was simple. The bottle's simple. The flavor was simple. There was some really good elements in there, and still had that journey. I don't think it's like way up here, but it's right there. That's really good. Yeah.
Matt?
I mean, for me, it's just good old Johnnie Walker Blue. I've spent many a long night or day just nursing a bottle of this to its conclusion and enjoying it all the way along. So, I mean, it is what it is. I like it. I'll continue to drink it every time it's around. I'm not complaining. I'll happily drink it. The best I've ever had in whiskey world? No. But is it the first one that made me fall in love? Yeah. So, the first love always has a special place in your heart. So, right, that's going to be is what it is. I'm not the only one. I think it's a pretty common thing. I actually know many relatives or people I know who I've turned on to whiskey in general at a wedding or something like that, or with a shot of that or a glass of that first. So I'm not the only one. I know. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a very good entry kind of whiskey. It's
to the rest of the world, right?
Yeah, to the people who are not into whiskey. It's just good. It's a good entry. It's easy to approach. That you can taste enough interesting things going on.
Yeah,
you can go back for more. You have a good night. It's guaranteed. Good old Johnnie Walker Blue.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us on Distilled. We got more scotches coming up this week. We're going to do some single malts and some really spectacular stuff. So stick around. Have a good one.
Oh, I take him back. Right after you suck on these little Chinese.